begun the podcast has. On this week's episode of Cartoon Buffoons, I am Wyatt, and who is here with me today, as always?
Hello, I am Morgan. I was a Ahsoka Tano situationship back at the Jedi Academy.
And we are here to talk about Clone Wars. Not the Clone Wars, but just Clone Wars.
What a annoying thing Cartoon Network did with those names.
Make two shows with basically the same name. Great.
That seemed to be vaguely in the same continuity.
Yeah.
Who could tell?
Yep. So we're here, just to make sure that there's no confusion whatsoever. The 2003 one, the Genndy Tartakovsky one, that is what we're talking about today. At some point when we lose our minds, way later, we're going to have to talk about the one that did air on Cartoon Network. I know a few seasons aired on like Disney, and it was a whole thing.
And then it got a revival. But I'm gonna let y'all all know this is a Cartoon Network show, baby. Yeah. We ain't talking about all that. That's too much fucking television. The base show has too much fucking television. But we gotta do it. We wrote this check.
Mm-hmm. I remember it was like 2013, maybe 2012, something like that. And I was like, this fucking show is still on. Like thinking that, and it continued on even further than that.
And it's good. It's just
not saying
it's too fucking much.
Yeah, not saying that.
That's Star Wars, actually. That's Star Wars. It's too fucking much sometimes.
So why don't we start there? First of all, this is depressing to me as a white guy making a podcast that I've never talked about Star Wars.
This is your culture. Like, they say white people don't have culture. They do. It's Star Wars. What are you talking about?
Yeah. And I've never, me and Nikki, we decided to never talk about Star Wars. We just didn't ever want to talk about Star Wars.
Smart.
And then now we actually have an excuse to talk about it. So I'm sorry for bringing you into this, first of all.
It's fine. It's fine.
And then second of all, let's stoke those flames. Let me ask you, what is your relationship to Star Wars and then this show?
Oh, baby. Okay. So my relationship with Star Wars is particularly strange because we talked about it before. My mom and my uncles are nerds, but they're not Star Wars nerds.
Yeah.
My mom watched Doctor Who when she was younger, and my uncles watched Star Trek.
Yep.
So that was my nerd. They kind of had a chip on their shoulder about Star Wars. Funny enough. Mm-hmm. My mom one time told me it's a fantasy show. She was very big on that hill when I was growing up. Which she's right. She's right. It's fantasy movies. So I didn't really have anything. I actually got into Star Wars because of the Lego Star Wars games.
Right. Same, honestly.
And by proxy, I got into these. And as I got older, I kind of watched Star Wars, and I became into the lore of Star Wars the same way I was into Warhammer and shit. So I absorbed a lot of the lore and stuff like that, and then I got really into the tabletop RPG scene. And I played Fantasy Flight and ran some of the Fantasy Flight Star Wars games, which were really good. And I got into a podcast that we both know, the Campaign Podcast.
Yeah.
Which was even more Star Wars stuff. And I was like, okay, you know what? Enough of this. Let's watch these motherfucking movies. And I watched all of them, and because I know the one with Finn came out, the fucking Force Awakens, what the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off here, guys. I don't think those movies are very good. I think across the board, they're not great. And I'm not talking about the new ones. I mean all of them. All 9.
Yeah.
So just I don't really get it. And Star Wars' fan base has become so hostile.
Yeah.
That it made me want to even more so not get into Star Wars.
Yeah, demented, I would say. Probably the most insane
twisted
fan base on the internet.
Motherfucking psychopaths. They just won't stop. So I was just I don't know, I want to get into it. But I did watch all the cartoons. I watched Rebels and I watched this because that's not even Star Wars to me. That's me watching cartoons that come out.
Yeah,
it's divorced from Star Wars.
That's how I feel. And very similarly, when we were young, that was when the prequels were coming out. And I knew about them, but again, I was more of a Star Trek kid, watching
Yeah, like a turbo version.
Yeah, so a super turbo version at 5 years old. But just watching that with my mom and everything, and of course Transformers. And those were my nerd. That's what I spec'd out on in my hyper fixation cards. Not really like a huge Star Wars fan. As I grew older, and it became sort of a nerd culture, nerd discussion on the internet became sort of the forefront of internet stuff. So people talking about man, the greatest decade of all time is the 80s and blah, 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 that sort of became the common talking points for losers reviewer guys on the internet. I became more interested to check out the Star Wars movies. So I watched the original trilogy. I enjoyed it. I, hated the prequels because the Mr. Plinkett review said to hate the prequels. And also I have watched them and they are bad. So that is another. I'm sorry. I know there's a renaissance for the prequels now, and people are suddenly like George Lucas was a genius and these are amazing pieces of art. I disagree. So let's just get that out there and move on.
I know I said I didn't like any of them. The original trilogy I do think is still a fun romp and time to have.
Yeah.
The prequels are, and I think the worst crime of all, boring as sin.
Yeah.
I think that's the worst thing about them is that they're boring as sin.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with you with the original trilogy where it's I think that they are pretty fun movies. I get why there is sort of a attraction or a fan base to them. I don't understand why it's so fucking huge necessarily, but I get why there would be I would get why there would be a fandom to it in the same way that any pretty good blockbuster movie, like Jaws or something. There's not people that are have 1,000 Jaws toys behind them and as they're recording YouTube video or whatever. I don't know. There is just some element of Star Wars that didn't click with me that I don't quite understand, even though I like the movies, the first three. And hey, I would say I like the Return of the Jedi the most of the original trilogy, even though it's kind of the worst one, just because I like endings to stories. Yeah, hint, hint. And
that's a weird thing to say for a nerd on the internet, because
nerds
on the internet fucking hate endings, bro.
I like when a story ends and it doesn't continue from that point. I like forever. That. Yeah. Yep, exactly. I say this as a Dragon Ball fan who every 5-6 years there's a new series or movie that's and then this is more after the manga, and I'm okay, fine, I guess I'll compartmentalize this as well. Anyway, by the time that I wasn't really interested in the prequels when they were airing, so I wasn't really interested in this show, other than seeing it from time to time on Cartoon Network, because they would air the episodes here and there.
They aired between stuff, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
It was really weird. Yeah.
And I was this looks really cool, but I don't know. I was gatekeeping myself mentally. I was I don't know enough about Star Wars to watch and care about this, even though it does look cool.
You saw how toxic the fan base was going to be in 10 years. Yeah. And your body was making a mental barrier to protect you.
Yeah, Apollo gave me the gift of prophecy, and I was stay away from this. I will put it down here, just in case anybody's listening. I did enjoy the first of the sequel movies, and I am
I did too.
And I am a defender of The Last Jedi. I'm one of those guys. So if you hate The Last Jedi with every fucking fiber of your being, I'm sorry. I'm one of those guys that thinks that it's the most Star Wars thing that was created since, I don't know,
Star Wars.
Empire Strikes Back, whatever, now, probably. So
Now, on the flip, I will say I like The Force Awakens and hate The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it because of, like, weird internet nerd things.
You don't hate it because Rose Tico or whatever.
I hate it because of a more woke reason. I'm so woke, I hate that movie. I hate that movie's fucking racist. So that's why I hate it. So I'm not on your side either. Sorry, buddies. I'm woke. I hate that movie from a woke standpoint.
Yeah. That's the coolest way to hate the movie.
But we could be like, what is it, fucking Gendry, the dwarf from Lord of the Rings with Legolas. I never thought of him working side by side with a woke leftist. What about with a friend? And just hate the West.
It's Gimli. But...
Gimli. Sorry. I'm sorry. Deep lore over here.
That is also what I was into in, like, that early 2000s era was Lord of the Rings, of course. But... Again, I said this, maybe I've said this before. I can't remember if I said this went before we were recording or afterwards, but like, just wanted to avoid all conversation about Star Wars on the internet because of the fan base and everything. And, I'm not usually like, whenever I see posts online of people being like, I like this thing, but the fan base is cringe, I'm like, whatever, who cares?
No, grow up, fuck you.
Yeah,
but like
Star Wars is the one that's 100% true. Like, they are cringe as fuck. I mean, like,
they're cringe and they're cannibalistic. They eat themselves.
Yeah.
Like, they're cringe and, like, they're eating themselves constantly. Like, listen, these are the only other people that are weird about this thing in the way you're weird about it. Y'all should find peace.
Yeah.
Like, there has to be some peace to be found there. Like... Because I don't know, I can joke that, like, I'm that way with Dragon Ball, but, like, the worst Dragon Ball fan is saying, here's my character, Goku fused with Naruto. And I'm like, that guy's just having fun.
Yeah,
I can't really roast that dude. But the worst Star Wars fan is, like, right in a Hitler-esque manifesto. So, like, I can't really...
Yeah, there's a difference between a guy in Latin America making Super Saiyan 10 and, like... some guy in the internet, with all the stormtroopers behind him that are saying that, like, that Finn is the end of all Western civilization and, Rose Tico and whatever. And then saying
that culture is going too far.
Yeah, the Acolyte is the worst show ever created. And it's like, I sincerely doubt it's the worst Star Wars show ever created.
It's a stiff competition. It's a stiff competition for Star Wars.
Though I will say, like, same with you, I did enjoy Rebels when I watched that. And I did, of course, listen to the campaign podcast, when that was going on. Because that started, like, around the time that the new... Star Wars movies were a thing, so people had, like, hope in them for, like, maybe Star Wars is, like, good now. Like, maybe it's good again. And then, like, it sort of quickly dwindled from there.
Last thing about Star Wars is the thing. I will say, I'm very into tabletop RPGs, which is, like, a known fact about me. Mm-hmm. I was only able to guilt our friend Nikki into playing one tabletop RPG campaign with me.
Yeah. And
it was Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And they played a snuff addict.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you know what snuff is, but it's like super cocaine, fungus cocaine from Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And truly one of my favorite memories. I'm glad I could, like, guilt them into one game exactly. So shout out Star Wars for that, if nothing else.
Absolutely. Man, but okay, so let's talk about this show, Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Last time we talked about old Genndy was with Samurai Jack. It's crazy that he's had this dude is a fucking workhorse. He loves
working. He loves working so much, dude.
Because, like, Samurai Jack is still airing at the time that this show was created. So he's, like, making this and Samurai Jack, like, finishing up on that, in this show, it's like, this isn't some bullshit promotional thing, even though it technically is. This
is passion, man. This is passion.
I was, like, watching this and I was like, man, imagine being a nerd like Genndy, who grew up with those original Star Wars movies and is, like, given the keys to, like, oh yeah, okay, you now get to make your own version of Star Wars in this, like, full-out war setting with Jedi and everything like that. Go ham. And he just fucking cracks his fingers and is like, let's get to work, baby.
I gotta say, I think across the board, the idea of going, who should we give the Star Wars thing to? Should it be the giant nerd who loves the sword and samurai fights? Yes. To be honest, when you hear, what is Samurai Jack? It's a cool samurai fighting robots with his sword. You go, this is no-brainer. Give him the Star Wars show. Give him the Star Wars show. Like, it was like the clouds opened up and God sent a light beam into some executive's brain that Genndy Tartakovsky is right there. And fucking perfect.
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect choice for that. And of course, it has a lot of the, people who worked on Dexter and Samurai Jack with him, like including Paul Rudish, would just go straight from this. And it's structured very strangely where each of the volumes are sort of or each of the seasons, whatever, are just one continuous story, and even the first 2 seasons are just one whole story that goes into each other, and concludes and everything. It's just a very it feels, I don't know, this kind of thing just can't exist anymore, basically. No. I know that we live in an era of streaming shows and those kind of things, but
no, I think I get what you mean, because this is the kind of thing that if it happened now would be weighed and labored down with too much planning. It'd be labored down with too much planning, too much behind the scenes work, and it wouldn't work as well. I think this airing during Toonami and other stuff in between shows or as a quick thing was the best, because it is let's just call it is. This thing is 80% fight scene.
Yeah.
But I think it's perfect. It was such a time and place. I think actually this adds to the vibe of the peak of where Cartoon Network was at. Because even though this is Star Wars, this is pre-Disney Star Wars, this doesn't feel like a cash grab, even though it actually is,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the fact that they are able to do, all of this, they're able to do the the very action focused, very light on story and dialogue, and yet still telling a narrative, still fulfilling a narrative, and still having they introduce characters like Asajj Ventress are introduced in this show.
Yes.
And that's oh my God, that's crazy that this character is introduced here, and sort of we sort of flesh her out and everything.
And we ruin her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you said on Twitter this is the best she ever looks, of course. Because...
Yeah, I'm the thing is, I love Asajj Ventress in the Clone Wars. I hate you, Cartoon Network. But seeing her here has now they've ruined her, pilled me. I'm sorry. Yeah. I feel because she's just fucking cool. She's genderless looking and terrifying and talk shit. And in the Clone Wars, they're yo, give her a boob window and she grows out hair and gets a boyfriend. And I'm dude, who here do I have to beat with bricks to make this go back? Stop it. Listen, fuck, man. It's awful.
Yeah. So it's hard to the plot of this whole show is very simple. And or each of the whatever, there is not an overarching plot. It's just Clone Wars are happening. Here's one of them, and then here's another of them. General Grievous is a cool guy. Dirge yeah, Dirge, that's super sick. That's the thing. I love so much. When in a kid's show, when they allow gore to happen.
Yes.
Ethical means. So robot gore and alien gore and things like that. I'm super into. There's that episode where it's just Mace Windu fucking up an entire army of droids without the lightsaber.
Cool. Dude, he's doing Wing Chun with the Force, just punching holes in people super quick, and then he jumps up a hill, lands next to a kid, salutes the kid, drinks a little bit of his water, and jumps back down to fight more. I can't express that Genndy Tartakovsky went to this this. Hey guys, I want to make a cool show. I think that we get so caught up in like lore or why is this happening or like this couldn't happen. That's not how the Force works. Who fucking cares?
Yeah.
This is the coolest shit I've ever seen. We truly have to go back to like people said the rule of cool. It's dead, dude. Like nerds have killed it, but like not here, man. There's stuff happening here that makes no fucking sense, but I don't give a hot shit because it's cool as hell.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so that's like, again, not to dig too much into this.
No, not to get in trouble with the Star Wars people.
Yes, but there are certain events that may have happened in modern Star Wars media that people are like, this is physically impossible. That I'm like, but it was pretty fucking cool. So I really don't care if it's physically impossible. If it, you know, is cool and it helps make the, you know, the narrative move forward, it's fine. You know,
does it kick ass? Like, it's the Space Wizard Samurai show.
Yeah.
I think the Wizard Samurai show and movies can have a little bit of cool, but makes no sense.
Yeah, I was thinking about that like while watching this, where I'm like, man, in the original Star Wars movies, lightsaber fights are so fucking boring. Like, like not even to say like they're bad or whatever, but they're so like there's two guys hitting each other with the lightsabers, and in this they're like deflecting every single laser blast with like perfect accuracy and like dashing at light speed across a battlefield, and you know, fucking using the force to like dismantle metal objects and all that. Like when he takes all the bolts out of the robot, I was like, what the like how much precision does that require to like individually rip out all the bolts at once, you know? But it's cool like, as fuck.
I can't express how many times I went, let's fucking go. Like, the thing is, though, right? This airing on Toonami, probably between the fucking Frieza arc, like the Namek arc, literally the hypest you could be at 14 years old watching this. Like, I can't imagine being 12 and seeing this and not having my brain explode. Yeah. It's like you're getting hit with so much cool bullshit. You're going to open up your notebook and start doodling something. Yeah. I don't know what, but you're going to start doodling something. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that this is, I believe, the beginning of like, oh, each of these, you know, like James Arnold Taylor being Obi-Wan, and like, you know, like these people who would eventually go on to be the characters in like their animated forms. Like this is where it started, and again, like you said, there is sort of a confusing like, is this related to the Clone Wars?
It's weird because like the way this like not the but yeah, the way this ends, it makes me feel like, so does he then meet Ahsoka and stuff? Because like this feels like it's a continuation.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I think it is supposed. I think that the Clone Wars is supposed to be, and then maybe somewhere along the line they like rewrote it or restructured it and made it so that it's its own thing, and that this is non-canon. It's Legends, you know. Not to rub more salt in the wound.
What a
Star
dumb
Wars
fucking
fan. That is stupid. By the way, like I do agree with
hell,
Star Wars fans about that, but
like some of you racists ate that one little thing up. Legends is a dumb thing to have separated. Like, listen, look, if you guys didn't want the dumb fucking books where Anakin has a stupid child and there's people that use flesh swords. That's George's fault, okay?
Yeah.
He should have been safer with the rights. That's on him. Speaking of voice acting, I think I have like become so used, like speaking of James Arnold Taylor for a minute, I think I am so deeply used to his voice that my brain didn't even like register it wasn't Ewan. Like I think I just like have heard him as Obi-Wan so much that I be fucking forgetting he isn't Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
Until I'm like, oh wait, no, I know who he is because he's also like in a bunch of other shit.
Yeah. No, yeah. The fact that James Arnold Taylor, like, he's a real fucking voice actor because, like,
yeah, he does a lot of shit. Yeah.
Because, like, when you listen to him, you know, like, when I think of and forgive me, but when I think of his most iconic roles for me, it's like Tidus from Final Fantasy X, Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank, Johnny Test, all very similar voices.
I knew you were gonna say Johnny Test.
Yeah, all very similar voices, and then like you hear this one, it's like this sounds nothing like any of those voices.
He's full on hello there, like he's fully doing it, like he's not even doing it a little bit, like he's crazy. I think the only voice here that like I can tell obviously isn't someone doing an impression of the way the character sounds. Is John DiMaggio's General Grievous, but also he's playing pre-asthma General Grievous, so maybe General Grievous, once he gets asthma by Mace Windu, he sounds like the one in the movies, in the other stuff.
And of course, like, the guy that they got to be Yoda is no Frank Oz, you know.
No, he's not.
As a Muppet fan, you know, he's just some guy doing the Yoda voice. But, like, either way, like, I think, like, you know, dialogue is very rare. It did, of course, make me laugh that I was immediately like, oh, of course, you know, like, the second Asajj Ventress started talking, I was like, there's Grey DeLeo. there she is. You know, it is a Cartoon Network show, so here we are.
I know we say Tara Strong's everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. Grey DeLisle's fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
And, like, the thing is, it's not even like it's like a passive role. She's everywhere and important, usually. Yeah. It's crazy. Like, she don't stop work. Literally, I was watching The Cape Crusader, and she's fucking all over that, too. Yeah. I'm like, damn, this just came out. Do you do anything but work?
Yeah. And then, of course, she's also Padme, and then Cree Summer was somebody. I think she was like one of the Jedi.
She's the sexy Jedi Master with the green skin.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's like some episode where they have to save some nuns, some like Jedi nuns, and I was like, this is pretty cool.
We also have to mention the coolest thing I've ever seen, which was the fucking episode where there's an episode where the Jedi who fucks. What is his name? The one Jedi who's allowed to have sex.
Yeah, I know that guy, but I don't.
Genndy Mundi, that's it. Him.
Sure.
Where he's like, stuck on a planet with a bunch of Padawans, and they're being hunted by General Grievous.
Yeah.
And I have to say, that's maybe just the coolest episode of television I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. General Grievous is too fucking cool. Yeah. He's just so sick, and he's sexy, and he's hot, and he murders these poor men in the coolest ways possible.
Yeah.
And, like, by the end of it, Kawati Mundi's, like, all his clothes is ripped off, and they're, like, dragging him away. Like, no, we have to stop him. He's too strong. And then, like, the clone trooper like this, no, we will all die if we stay here. And I'm like, this is television, dude.
Yeah.
This is the sickest shit I've ever seen. It's so fucking cool.
I was surprised by how much, like, on-screen death. Like, they just didn't avoid. Like, I expected a lot of robot destruction, but it didn't. Like, there's the episode right before Anakin starts dueling with Asajj, where they like all land into the forest, and then she just like meticulously kills like every single person except for Anakin. And then,
like, she's like snapping their necks on trees.
Yeah.
And like she's fucking brutally killing them too.
Kills the droid that he was riding with. You know, it's like, god damn. And then like also, this really awesome battle between the two, like on top of this like temple.
Anakin screaming the name of the droid before it dies is so funny. Let me just say, I love Anakin's little hyperfixation on droids or people. It's one of his my favorite traits about him. So like all these clone troopers die, Anakin's like, no, stop. Asajj brutally murders a droid. Anakin's like this, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah, you're gonna pay.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's crazy how every episode feels like that. Every episode, something just really fucking cool happens. Like, I truly think that, like, when we talk about directors across the board, we can't even begin to undervalue how much Genndy Tartakovsky might be an all-time director, period.
Yeah,
not just
absolutely.
animation, just, like, period. When it comes to storyboarding or, like, filming shots or having stuff, like, be perfectly aligned and stuff like that, and just look great every single time you pause it, Genndy Tartakovsky's unstoppable.
And because it's animation and having control, like 100% control of like what's on the screen, everything has like maximum impact.
Yeah.
Too. So like it is visually like presented in a really cool way, and then like yeah, there's just like the extra layer of effort going into it through animation. It's the most stylish any Star Wars show has ever or will ever look.
Yeah.
Like,
No
like I think even like the shows that people really like Andor and stuff like that, like I still don't think that they are as good looking as this show is, as far as at least in what it's trying to do of being like the specific, the maybe not the golden age of the Jedi, but like the final peak before the fall of like these were these guys, the masters of the Force and the strongest in the universe and everything. This is them at their peak right before they were all wiped out, and it's just like really cool that you get a show and you get a sandbox to play in that's basically like, go here, show off how cool all these guys are in whatever way. And they also, I feel like, they do tease and whatever about Anakin, of course, becoming Darth Vader, but it's like more subtle than I expected. Like, because like with other Star Wars, it's very on the nose. And like the biggest moment is just like, when he's fighting with Asajj and then knocks her other, like he loses lightsaber and then knocks the other one out of her hand and like picks that up, and he's using one of the red lightsabers. It's like, you see? So there is that, but I don't know, I appreciate that.
I think I think there's like a legit love here to like what's happening in Star Wars, Like I do think that like a lot of like, we can hindsight it now, but the prequels as a whole are just, they don't care about spending time with Anakin to show why he's like this. They just kind of make him a shithead, which I do think is fun. I think Anakin's still fun, but he's a shithead. But like, I don't know, there's like a level of like, he doesn't listen here, but everything is in good, like everything, has a good heart here, He's attacking Savage and wants her dead real bad. He wants to kill Ventress no matter what, but he's also doing it because she killed a bunch of innocent people. Like, he's not doing it out of nothing. Like, it still shows that, like, while he will be the guy who cuts down children like sunflowers, just not yet, Like, he's still here doing stuff for a good reason. And that's always fun in hindsight to watch something like this.
Yeah.
I will say, one last thing, sorry. Back to, like, director for a quick second. I think Genndy Tartakovsky, when it comes to shortcuts of animation, they're not even shortcuts, they're stylistic choices. Like, watching Samurai Jack and then this, seeing the way that he goes, hey, here's a good way to, like, do a shortcut that saves us time and effort, but I'm going to do it stylistically. Like, there's shots where all the droids are walking in one direction, right? And they're 2D planes. He doesn't even bother making them, like, full 3Ds. You only see one side of them. They almost like cave paintings.
Yeah.
And stylistically, it's like the coolest shot you've ever seen. Like, it's just like, he just like never turns off. Like,
it does remind me of like something that somebody pointed out, is that like in the past, like on Twitter, Tumblr, or whatever, that like finding somebody's style or finding your own style is like finding what you do to cut corners and like leaning into that, basically. Like, that's like, you can find somebody's style by finding, like, okay, how do they cut corners? Okay, they draw hands the exact same way every single time, or they draw eyes or faces or whatever, or they draw, like, the same pose very often, or they do these same shots over and over again. And, like, things that technically are bad habits but become part of... they become part of an artist's style, and then it, like, elevates it and sort of, like, you get a pass on that, which is great.
It becomes what people like. Yeah, that's like really cool. What were you gonna say before? Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna continue the conversation and say that the show does end like leading into the third movie, so I think it is trying to be like, like this is trying to be like, okay, this is the only thing between second movie and third movie. You know, this is the Clone Wars. This is all this. So I think it is essentially like the second Clone Wars show is overwriting it in canon. You know, that's what its purpose is. But I think if you like both, there's no reason both can't exist. Like, there's nothing in either one that like explicitly contradicts the other.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You know, it is similar to recently with Dragon Ball Daima, where it's like, oh yeah, it has like a bunch of stuff in it that makes it so that Super being canon is questionable, but it doesn't explicitly contradict anything in Super. Just like nothing in Super explicitly contradicts anything in GT, you know. So
all right. No.
Look, no. I know, but I'm just saying from a marketing perspective, they don't want to like burn any bridges there. And I think that they did a good job with that. But yeah, so I really don't know what else to say about the show. It is a very simple, like, clean cut show. I'm not saying that we should like wrap up right now, but like, is there anything that like comes to mind?
I think just across the board, this is like I know we talked about like how this kind of show can't happen anymore and stuff like that. But I think, like, it should, you know? Yeah. Like, I think that, like, we're in an age where these companies are so tight-gripped on the properties they own in a way that just doesn't help anyone.
Yeah.
Like, across the board. And I miss when movies and other things could have cartoons or auxiliary stuff that wasn't part of the main thing but was canon to it, you know. And I think that like James Gunn is trying to bring that back a little bit because we're getting a Creature Commandos like cartoon that's going to be canon to his new DC universe, which I think is cool. But like this really just basically there's like I think it's like this sells you the promise that Disney's trying to lie to you about now. Like the promise of like, hey, we bought Marvel and Star Wars, and the upside is though we'll get to see genre things from people that are different than the main thing, and that's just a lie because they make them all do the same gray goop of what the product is. But like this is so different from the Clone Wars, and it's good thing is different. This is so different from the movies. It's a good thing is different. Even if you like one and you don't like the other, the fact that like the thing that you love can have so many different things come from it. Is good. And it just seeing this really buzzed me out like, damn, fuck, everyone wants to make the same three things now. We gotta get away from that. Yeah. Like,
or that they need to, like, here's the thing, like we're in a period of time when like creator driven stuff is sort of on the decline, you know. Hopefully it'll come back, like the pendulum will swing in the other direction, but like right now original content is at an all-time low. It's all like IP driven, and it's all basically to service the streaming companies and everything like that. It's not for like just weekly consumption. We release an entire season, you guys like binge it and talk about it, number goes up for a little bit, and then we make our quarterly earnings. That's what they care about, like a boom and bust cycle more so than like a consistent performance across the board of people being interested in this thing and like garnering a fan base and slowly growing and all that. These are things that people have talked about. You know, Disney Plus, credit where it's due, they have, you know, they've been releasing the shows like in an episodic way. So that means that we had to deal with like a couple months of people on the internet complaining about The Acolyte and, you know, and
their heart was in the right place, but it's Star Wars, so that's the issue.
But it is depressing that like we're in this situation where every show has to be like the most epic, most like important, impactful thing for a series, or it has to like redefine what the series is or be like this, you know, perfect gateway thing between non-fans and fans, and you just don't get like this little bite-sized content that just exists for the sake of being cool, you know. It just like, isn't really a thing anymore. And because like you get either or basically at this point. You get, you know, like you either only get like the big epic important stuff, or you only get like the scraps of, like, okay, here's like a weird, a 3-minute short or whatever, or
like
anything
you
like
can't.
that. You can't have one supplement the other. Like, you can't have them both existing at the same time at this point. So,
also, I'm gonna like jump into the River Styx real quick. Also, I just think nerds need everything in a piece of media they like to be for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know this is insane. You can be a Star Wars fan, and everything that comes out of Star Wars does not have to be for you. Yeah. I know it's crazy to say, but it's possible. Like, I think this is why, and I'm gonna lie a little bit now. Like fucking Chad Transformer fans.
Mm-hmm.
Most Transformers things that come out are not for me.
Yeah.
I'm still a giant Transformer fan. I just don't need every single thing to come out to be exactly what I want from it,
Yeah.
Like, I think the strongest fan bases are the ones where people can put out multiple things that only some of it is for you.
Yeah.
Like,
and like, I mean, if I watch something like Beast Wars or whatever, I can compartmentalize the fact that, like, yes, this was a cartoon from the 90s, this was a kid's show, etc. I can still appreciate all of the good aspects of it, or all the aspects that I think have aged well or appeal to me, but there is always going to be a disconnect of, like, I'm no longer 5 watching this.
Yeah.
I'm 30 watching this, so, like, there is, like, I'm sort of, there's a certain element of that, like, going over my head, so, or like the perennial conversation about stuff like Bluey, where it's like people that are adults that are watching, like, oh man, I'm an adult and I enjoy it or whatever. And then they twist that in their head to be like, that means that it is secretly for adults this whole time. No. And it's just like, no, the people making the show made a good show. They targeted it towards children, for these developmental reasons. You're enjoying it because the people that are making it are putting a level of effort and quality into it that is unseen in other areas of, that genre of medium.
Yeah,
and that's the same thing with this. Like, I don't give a fuck about the prequels. I don't care about Anakin's dark fall. I don't care about fucking Count Dooku or Mace Windu or any of this shits or, Force Witches or whatever. I don't care. But this show is really cool. So it was very enjoyable to watch. And
yeah, you can watch just the thing that's for you and you would think is cool.
Yeah.
Not, like, I remember, like, vividly, I know I just said something nice about Transformers, I'm saying something bad about them now. Like, someone going, man, isn't it crazy that Rescue Bots is better than Transformers Prime? And I'm like, are you hot? Why are you comparing these shows?
Yeah, very different. You can like one more than the other, but like...
Yeah, you can obviously like one, but like you going, isn't it cool that this little toy block I have is better than this assault rifle?
Yeah.
Makes you think, doesn't it? Nigga, they're different things. What are you talking about? Like, it's
Rescue
this
Bots
weird...
is blah, blah, blah. It's actually made for... Blah, and it's like, no, it's a fucking preschool show, and it's fine.
Rescue Bots, brother. It's
they don't fight anybody. Except for Tim Curry is a villain in it, but whatever.
But like, yeah, like, I don't know. There's this weird thing where, like, if something's under a property, everything in it must be in line and be exactly the same and be comparable. And I'm like, who cares? Like, listen, look, was the jokes about the Jedi Academy show funny? The preschool Jedi Academy show funny? Yes, they were, because you had the context that, like, Anakin does kill all these guys. That's funny. That's funny. I'll give you that, right? But also, people go like this, is this show going to talk about Anakin? No,
you fucking
no,
idiot.
It's for toddlers, you fucking clown.
That'd be extremely dark if they had an episode where, even if they didn't, like, actually have him come and kill all of them, the fact that they would have Anakin show up and be like, hey guys, what's going on, would... I don't know how to do. That's like a serial killer coming on, like, a children's show, like, before he kills everybody. Like, that's the... like...
Hey everybody, hey, on this episode of the show we have a special clown. Come in, John.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. We've talked about that before, the idea of, like, that people that are into children's media have a huge chip on their shoulder and need to make sure that the thing that they're watching is actually secretly for them. They can't just like enjoy parts of it and move on and everything. And I think that the sort of the loss of shows, like a variety of shows in a series, sort of leads to that. It sort of creates this weird dynamic where every single thing that comes out needs to be like engaging, meaningful content. When there's plenty of shows where I'd be like, yeah, I would be fine if you just made like weekly 5-minute episodes of this thing and like put it on the internet, and then the main show or whatever can be a season that's dumped on Netflix or whatever. I'm fine with that. Like that's like, I think that that's a totally fine way to like, separate that. Yeah. And like you can tell different stories that you couldn't between, the multiple different formats. That's like the Monster High strategy there, it's like...
And niggas are locked in on Monster High. Like, we don't have the variety anymore, man. It's like, wait for the Netflix project. We don't really have, like, that variety we used to have of, like, what things were coming out and the style which are coming out. And it's just... It's so sad.
Yeah. But hey.
Anyway, Genndy Tartakovsky... Everyone hired Genndy Tartakovsky to do another... Wait, fucking Primal 2's coming out. Never mind. Stop hiring him. Hire other people.
Yeah, he keeps on, like, we talked about this, but he just is like, they cannot say fucking no.
Dude, he is the only animator, writer, director who is immune to the quality of the fucking, the business at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, he's just, because, stuff's going really bad, Genndy. What do you think of that? I'll make a new Samurai Jack if you let me make a weird show about a caveman and then another weird show about eternal warriors that come back.
And it's like,
what are you talking about?
Yeah, right? It's so weird that, like, I don't know. It's very interesting, his whole life, like his work story and everything. Where it's like, okay, he worked at Cartoon Network for a while, went to work, at Sony for the Hotel Transylvania movies.
The sexy goth lady. I mean,
that's the only thing I know about those movies. Is that Adam Sandler's daughter is hot in it.
She's lesbos.
Yeah.
She's lesbos. You better be.
Yeah, with Rapunzel. Man, I love that shit. The like Animash. That content,
dude. Honestly, some of the funniest content online is when people like splice those movies together and make clips out of them.
Like Flynn fucking Hans from
There's nothing like the fucking the homophobic Rudolph, not Rudolph, the fucking homophobic Bambi one.
Yeah.
Where, like, they call him the F slur.
Yeah.
I can't, but, like, to make those kind of contents on YouTube, insanity. But, back to Genndy, Genndy, he just, like, is able to make a bunch of shit. And I hope he's having a good time doing it. I really do.
Because he's extremely talented. Like, even if he has his problems, like, people have made fun of, like, the ending of Samurai Jack Season 5, the ending of Primal.
He loves it when a woman gets cummed in.
Yeah.
He loves it so much, man.
And it's, like, good for him, I think, I don't know. I think that it is something where I'm like, I'm glad that this guy is making what he wants and is able to make his weird, kind of shitty endings and just be...
Because it's
and we're just like, yeah, fine. You can do that, And then we just move on. And we're just like, yeah, we're always excited to see more of his stuff because it's always cool, Yeah, you made me watch a dinosaur lay eggs for like 3 minutes. And that was kind of uncomfortable. But, sure. That I appreciate it.
Yeah, because the thing is, though, he's such a, like... Listen, Genndy could make the worst episode 1 you've ever seen and the worst last episode you've ever seen, but everything in between will be the coolest shit you've ever seen. He's just so skilled at the process of making a show that like he'll make a one-off that'll win him an award, and then it's like, oh fuck, well the show gotta end. Unplanned pregnancy. Later, everybody.
Yeah.
What do you mean? That's it, dude. I love cream pies. Later.
Yep.
This has been a Genndy Tartakovsky original, baby.
So, but yeah, I think that's that on Clone Wars.
Yes, it's on YouTube.
Yeah,
it's also on Disney Plus, but it's on YouTube. Fuck Disney Plus.
Go check it out. Good shit. Yeah, I don't want to fucking go on Disney Plus, so just go on YouTube, watch it. It's great.
It's really good.
Yeah, you can watch it in watch it in a couple sittings, basically, because like it's just a couple hours of content.
Like 2.5, not even that bad either.
Yeah. So there you go. It's like the size of a movie, just one whole thing. But all right, Morgan, where can we find you on this wide internet that we call home?
Oh, it's like a home with rats at this point. It's awful. Anyway, hi everyone. It's me, Morgan. You can find me on Tumblr at Girl Next Vor. I'm posting art. I'm posting nonsense. I'm talking about Vampire the Masquerade. I have no way to shoehorn that into this show about cartoons, but I talk about that shit a lot. You can also find me on Blue Sky at Girl Next Vor. But please know, the cis are attacking with me. I'm attacking with them. I have a robot suit and a cool motorcycle and a lance. I will be destroying Blue Sky, and the Jedi can't stop me. You can also find me on Twitter, but it's a secret thing. You must talk to Master Yoda about it. He might tell you my name, but if you do, you'll see me over there posting about a lot of stuff.
He'll give
That's
you the
pretty much it.
The Sith holocron so that you can.
The Sith that's what I was going to say. I couldn't remember the Sith holocron. Yeah. The code on it is 6969666420. But yeah. Anyway, Wyatt, where can we find you? What do you do?
I'm on the internet. Go on over to Twitter, if it is still around. Wasp Ranger, WAZP Ranger. It's mostly stream of consciousness stuff, but I do like to post about this podcast. I do like to post about videos that I'm making whenever I'm making them. Maybe I'll do. I mean, I just got done watching through the first season of Beast Wars again. Maybe I'll finally get off my ass and write that Beast Wars video that I've wanted to. Whenever I get around to season 2 and 3. And then I'll finally be able to just be like, all right, channel's over. It's only for cartoon buffoons now. As soon as I make that. But I'm half joking.
There's a short intercut in the middle of your Beast Wars episode where I rank how sexy everyone is for like 16 seconds.
Like,
I just quick fire rank them.
One. there's at
Don't
the top.
expose me! Don't expose me like that, you motherfucker! Stop that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So if you want to support us on Patreon at $1, you don't get this show a week early, but you do get Wow Cool Robot, which is me and my friend Wayne, aka Bolt Creature, on Twitter. Going through and reviewing every single robot in existence. It's a fun time. It's 5 to 10 minute episodes. You can just binge a bunch of them. $1, great value. $5, you get this show a week early. You get videos a week early for both of my channels, including Planet Zeb as the Metroid channel. And you get other like exclusive stuff like Cody and I whenever we get together and do shits. That's all on Patreon. We'll eventually have to do a new Robots and Discussed episode on Transformers 1. All three of us will have to get together and do that at some point because it's the first good Transformers movie. So we have to talk about it.
Fujoshis are up, baby. We are up, baby.
So yeah, we have to. We're doing that. $5. Great. Check that out. Give me money. It'll be awesome. And if you're already listening to this on the free feed, though, you can get the next episode, which will be for Craig Bartlett's Party Wagon, a thing that neither of us have ever seen.
A rarity among me and Wyatt as friends for these last 10 years. I wait, what do you mean we haven't seen? I was like, what the fuck is this? Dude, I probably saw a screenshot it's like this. Oh, this is just Hey Arnold. It is not. Yeah. So I'm very excited to talk about this.
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk about this because I've never fucking seen it. I've heard of it, like, in the past, but I've never seen it. And I never even knew what it really was. When I heard the name Party Wagon, I didn't expect it to be like Old West, But I'm excited to check that out, and it's a nice, just one movie, be great. So you can listen to that right now. If you're listening to this on YouTube, you can listen to that on Patreon right now for $5. If you're on the Patreon already, thank you. I very much appreciate it. And yeah, either way, join us next week, and that was Star Wars. Join us next week. We will be talking about Party Wagon. See you there.
Woo, woo. See you.